My,
Okay. Oh, what did you say? 38 here.
no, he's my age, so he's actually
22.
22, just on the break. He's 44, 43.
How many years ago was he? Yeah.
2009.
15 years, 16 years.
No, it was 2008, December of 2008.
The one that was manual. Because I thought it's neither, I thought I had all these other slides. Not very many people. This is just the.
I just couldn't hear that at first, and I was wondering what's going on.
Very good. Okay, I will call the meeting to order. First order of business is review of, first of all, Tammy's excused tonight. Away. First order of business is the meeting minutes from May 5th. I did not have any changes. Did you have anything?
Not that I, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve as distributed.
All right, I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have some non-public too. Okay. Oh, attachments. Yes, the whole subdivision regulations. All right. And then we had non-public minutes. We discussed a legal matter. I'll make a motion to accept that as written.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sign that. Mr. Chairman. I don't know if they're doing. Next on the agenda is a public hearing for the acceptance of $15,000 from the Association for the Rural and Small Libraries, Manton Foundation's 2025 Sustainable and Resilient New England Libraries Grant. These funds will be used for the new electric signboard located at the Lincoln Public Library. So by law, any funds that the town is granted more than $10,000, we have to have a public hearing. So I will open up the public hearing and I don't know, one of you want to talk about the sign or the grant or what this is? About it.
Let me just make sure you choose. Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to let you guys know what the grant was all about. We are in the process of purchasing a message board for the library. The reason I applied for this grant was that it was for outreach for libraries. And I believe that the message board was a way of outreach to the community. There are many people who do use the library, but there's a lot of people who don't use the library and don't come into the library. And that's okay. But I wanted them to know what was going on. And this is a way for people to know what's going on without coming in the library. And maybe want to attend some of the events that we have or programs that we offer. So I applied for it and I got it. You know, $15,000 is at least half of the cost of the sign itself. And I believe we've already put the order in and it should be coming sometime in the next couple of weeks. And then the installation will be done. Mike Carrington's going to do the electrical portion of it. And we're going to take the posts that we have on the front of the library, that with that, the lights on it on the stairs, look really nice. We're gonna take that component and add it to the sign, so it kind of matches and makes it look, look nice. The sign, as probably everyone knows, will be on from 9 AM to 8 PM when the library's open, and not on Sundays, so that we don't infringe upon our neighbors' quietude, as I would put it. So pretty much, so that's what it's about, and I'm really excited to be able to offer it and bring it to the community so that everyone can know what's going on at the library. Because not everybody uses Facebook or checks out any of the other types of formats that are out there, whether it's flyers or putting something on our door, So I think this will be a good addition and add the outreach to the community for the library. Okay.
Very good.
If I may.
Is it, yeah, go ahead.
First of all, congratulations. That's wonderful news. Secondly, tell me a little bit about the Man Foundation.
I do
never
not
heard
know
of
a lot about the
Okay.
Mann Foundation, to be honest with you. I just know that they partner with the Association of Rural and Small Libraries to offer grants. It's $1.4 million that they've given out so far. This was a New England library grant that they were offering just to the New England states. And there were a lot of libraries in New Hampshire who received a grant from this organization. So I think the max was 15,000. Some got less, but I think we were able to get them all. Do you have any information about?
No, I was just curious how it was funded. Was it an endowment by somebody that had a love for libraries and wanted to see it perpetuated throughout the country? I guess.
I really don't know, to be honest with you. I'll investigate that though.
We both will.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Is the sign gonna be mounted on the building or in front?
No, in front of the building.
In front of the
It's
building?
a double-sided sign that will be this side on Church Street, so you can see it from both sides. It
Okay,
will
so
be on the ground.
It'd be perpendicular to the road, so you can see it coming and going. Got it, okay.
And is there anything that you'd like to say about something coming up this weekend? The general public?
Anybody wants to know, we have our annual plant sale that we host every year. The Friends of the Library hosts that. And they're a big contributor to a lot of the things that we offer, whether it's programming or books and such like that. So they've been a really great organization to have, and well over 20 years that they've been doing it. So yeah, I think that it's a great opportunity for people to get involved in the library as well, because they're a great group of people.
What time do the plants sell out by?
The plant sale starts at 9 AM till noon. We only run it for 3 hours, so you better get there quick because they go fast. And a lot of donations, donations from either businesses or gardeners as well. And they'll be coming in pretty soon now. It's supposed to be kind of crappy that day, but we have a big tent getting set up, so plants don't mind the rain. They don't like the hot sun, but they don't mind the rain.
And vendors as well.
And, oh yeah, we have at least a half a dozen vendors who are going to come set up tables and sell things as well. Whether it's there's a lady who does paintings, there's a lady that does quilting, some crystal work, essential oils. So last year we started that, and it went over so well that we decided to add it on again as another way to bring people in.
Oh, that's good to know, because I've been to your plant sale numerous times, but I saw that. Are you gonna have goodies for sale too?
I believe we are
Okay,
supposed
yes.
to be having a big
That's it.
sale as well, yeah.
Because I'm more into that than the.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so everybody's welcome. As always, all the programs that we offer are free. If you want to buy something that's on your own. So I just think that it's great. We did have last month, we had a really wonderful author event with Lisa Gardner. We had it at Jean's Playhouse, and the the Friends hosted that as well. We had over 150 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, so it was really, really neat, and she was fabulous, and that all goes to the Friends of Library Office programs.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Mr.
Oh, wait, the public hearing, so if there's anyone else who would like to speak on this, I need to open that up. Okay, if there's none, then we'll close public hearing.
I'll make a
Jack,
motion
you wanna make a motion?
to close the public hearing. That was my first motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Second motion was to accept the payment of $15,000 towards the sign that was received from the Manton Foundation.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, next, we got a request for an abatement. Or actually, an abatement regarding a prorated tax assessment for damaged buildings on 54 Bloom Road. Is that up in South Peak?
No, it's in Coolidge,
Bloom is included.
it's in Coolidge Falls, yes.
Oh,
Yes, so this was a fire that happened last fall. And I apologize, I did receive this request, but it somehow slipped through the cracks in my emails from March. So they did file it in a timely fashion. She emailed me, the homeowner emailed me and followed up, and for some reason it must have gone in my junk folder, but I never received it originally, but I told her that we would honor the tax payment for the tax year 2024. As far as tax year 2025, I told her that we would have to reassess after the bills go out, because technically the first bill of 2025 goes from April 1 to the end of September. So I told her that our code enforcement officer would check in periodically. They have yet to file a building permit for the renovations yet, but the building is still standing. It wasn't a total tear down. But they need to do some major interior work. It pretty much has to be gutted. So I provided her the LUP and told her that our code enforcement officer would kind of check in periodically. And until we know when the property is habitable again, then we could put a date and time on that to kind of prorate their assessment for the tax year 25.
good.
Is this a single family home?
It is.
Chief Whedon. Michael?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good, you?
Good, thank you. Did you respond to that fire up there?
Yes, I did.
And it was major structural damage, interior,
It was all interior. We contained it to the inside of the building. It was like a big oven when we got there, and there was major damage throughout the building.
and you contained it so it didn't spread to any other buildings?
Correct.
And what was the cause of it, chief?
Believed to be electrical, but it was undetermined at the time.
Did the fire marshal's office follow up, you know?
They did not. I just corresponded with them, and then we determined it's going to be undetermined because there was so much damage inside.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the assessment calculation was, or the abatement calculation was done based on it being usable for 158 days and then unusable for the remainder of the year. So on April 1st, 2025 sets the 2025 bill assessment.
Correct.
So it will remain at this assessment of 477. No, sorry. Just the land portion
No, just, yes, correct, just the land
until
until
it's habitable.
until it's habitable again. So that's why, because this first billing that will go out, which we'll talk about later, I'm ready to guys to come in and find the tax warrant out later this week. covers a period of April 1 to September 31st.
Yeah,
Because it's undetermined at this point in time whether it will be habitable by September 31st. We'll periodically go out to make sure that, if they can finish the renovations by end of August, then it will only be from April 1 to the end of August that will be prorated.
okay, is that how it works for a fire damage?
Yes,
So no, if this were new construction, whatever it is on April first, is it for the whole year until next April first?
no, for the prorated fire damage, it's the days of intended use.
Okay, so as
So
soon as it comes back online,
for an intended use, then it can
go
be,
back to.
go back to the.
Okay, all right. All right, so the total refund we're gonna owe them. For what they've paid in 2024. Is $6,369.08.
What is the full amount?
The full amount that they paid,
11,
yes,
That's what I'm asking, the
11
taxes on.
11,000.
Change.
yeah, 11,827.
I totally agree with that, you know.
Okay,
Just a question. Now we're on land only, we're taxing on the land only because the building's not habitable. What about a foundation? Is there a value to, and again, this is just nothing to do with this one, but I'm just curious, is there a value to the foundation per se?
in new construction, yes. I don't know in this prorated
Yeah,
tax.
no, and again, I don't want to take anything away from this family.
Right.
Obviously, they deserve, they pay the taxes on it. What happened? Sadly, they can't use it for its intended use. But I was just curious for my own.
In new construction, yes.
Yeah.
In new construction, when the assessors go out, if there's only a foundation there, as
There's a
before
value
April
to
1,
that.
there's a value.
okay, do you wanna make a motion to, approve an abatement of $6,369.08. For the taxpayers of map 123, lot 077 at 54 Flume Road.
I don't move.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done that.
Don't let me forget to talk to you about that tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
All right, while we're on that, let's do a notice of intent to cut wood. Here for us to sign. This is from Cameron Patel. The wood cutter, the logger is Wade B from Rumney. And it looks like all of the different types of wood and amounts are filled out. I'll make a motion to approve the notice of intent to cut wood or timber for Kamlesh Patel.
Is
This is
this
for
the
the-
site over here,
this
with
is
the
the
hotel,
Hotel site.
Yeah.
they've done all the test boring and what have you?
And it's just for the
No.
intent,
Intent
this
to
is
cut.
what the timber.
Right.
Okay.
They don't need a building permit or.
No, they just need,
Just
that
this.
is just that, yep. But just so you are aware, he has been issued a foundation owner permit from the state fire marshals.
Okay,
So
so does that mean his alteration of terrain has been approved?
it must have been
It
because
takes to get the
to
foundation,
get the
right?
foundation.
We know what time frame on that?
Well, like I said, they were issued the foundation only 2 weeks ago, I believe.
This week.
We just issued ours, like we try to coincide with the state fire marshal's office as far as permitting goes, so, he's gotta cut the trees to get the foundation in, so I imagine he's hoping to get home. Yeah. He was hoping to get the site work started this week, but he was waiting for the intent to be signed. I'll take it.
What happened to the other?
I have a ring.
You want the minutes here?
I'll take them for that, yeah.
You don't need anything?
Mom, they stop.
Okay, Jim, you go.
And while we're here, we can talk about the lease agreements. Do you wanna talk about that?
I'm sure, no, we can talk about it now, it's good, that's fine. Well, you wanna do one more signature thing that you have in the folder though, right underneath what you're looking at right now, the signature tabs?
Oh,
That is just,
water system regulation.
that's just what you agreed upon at the public
Okay.
hearing at the last
At the
meeting.
last meeting, we approved these, this is the printed version.
You got it.
We accepted these at the last meeting too.
You did.
We're not voting. we're
You're not
signing
voting, you already
what we
approved
voted on.
it, but you do need it finalized just so we
Um,
can have it.
And it says it was approved on this day, or I should date this on the 5th.
On May 5th was at the meeting in which you accepted the regular.
Yeah, he said that.
And why don't you leave that aside for Tammy to sign, even though it's not here tonight, she did vote on it. All right, we currently have a lease for the what we refer to as the old state shed up on Route 3. The town owns that, and we have, for the last many years, been leasing that to the White Mountain Snowmobile Club. They pay $1,200 a year, one-time payment in July. This lease that they're currently working under was a 5-year lease that expires June 30th. At the end of next month. And you're looking to renew this. We've had 0 problems, issues that I know of over the last 5 years. I don't see any reason not to. Unless there's something I'm not aware of.
No, I have a couple just like housekeeping items that I
Okay.
think we should clean up. This current lease references the old tax map and lot number, so I think that needs to be updated. Right now it's referencing tax map 19 and parcel 48.
Okay,
When the new tax map and lot number is 105-020, 10520. So I was thinking that should probably just be cleaned up.
okay,
The term, I just circled that to make sure we're still good with a 5-year term on that.
Yeah.
And then also I circled just the $1,200 to make sure we were good on that. Everything else though, I've read through and I don't see any, other, cause for concern, except for the last page or the second to last page, page 6. Where it talks about the expiration of the lease term, and it talks about it being put on a warrant article to extend it. And I don't know if that was old language and whether it's relevant anymore, because it does talk about like 2018 and 2019. So I guess it doesn't seem relevant to me anymore that we would put this in a warrant article to the town to see if they would authorize an additional multi-year term.
Well, it says may, doesn't say shall. May place an article in the law, so. There's no mandate.
Oh, you're right, you're right, may place an article on the warrant for the
I
20.
don't see any need to do that.
In any event, if we want to keep it in there, we should update the dates and, so to make it relevant to this.
do we need town approval to do a multi-year lease as opposed to a single-year lease? I think that's what the issue was in 2019, 2019 when we signed this, wasn't it?
I think the selectmen are allowed to enter into a multi-year lease agreement, and it doesn't need town meeting approval. Let me look into RSA 411A. And see if that's what that is.
Okay,
And at the very least, like I said, we could keep it in there and no harm, no foul, but we would need to update the actual dates.
dates.
Because even the actual dates don't necessarily, I don't know, they do with this agreement. Okay, I'll look into that a little bit further. We have a little bit of time,
Yep.
but like I said, I think at the very least, we should update the new tax map and lot number, and then just make sure we're okay with the 5 years and the $1,200.
Snow isn't gonna come for a while. Whoa.
Yeah, we hope, right.
Well,
exactly.
you're gonna be 38 tonight.
We've had snow on Labor Day weekend before.
Don't say that.
Well,
I mean, Memorial Day.
Granted, could you give me the tax map And the parcel, we have
Yes.
a new one, please.
Is 105-20.
The parcel.
That is, it's
20.
20, yeah, the map is 105.
Okay, the parcel.
Okay, so RSA 4111, I just brought it up real quick. It says the selectmen shall have the authority to manage all real property owned by the town and to regulate its use unless such management and regulation is delegated to other public officers by vote of the town or is governed by other statutes. The authority under under paragraph 1 shall include the power to rent or lease such property during periods not needed for public use. Provided, however, that any rental or lease agreement for a period of more than 1 year shall not be valid unless ratified by the vote. You're right.
Okay,
And then it says, notwithstanding paragraph 2, the legislative body may vote to authorize the board of selectmen to rent or lease municipal property for a term of up to 5 years without further notice or ratification of the town. Once adopted, this authority shall remain in effect until specifically rescinded by the legislative body. Also, you can do it now that you had to do it that first.
oh,
I see what you're saying, yeah.
well, so read that sentence here, we can extend it.
It says notwithstanding paragraph 2, which paragraph 2 said the authority under paragraph 1 shall include the power to rent or lease a property. Provided that any rental or lease agreement for a period of more than 1 year shall not be valid unless ratified by vote of the town. And then it says notwithstanding paragraph 2, the legislative body may vote to authorize the board of selectmen to rent or lease municipal property for a term of up to 5 years without further vote or ratification of the town. Once adopted, this authority shall remain in effect until specifically rescinded by the legislative body at any duly warned meeting, provided that the term of any lease entered into prior to the rescission, I can't even say that word, rescission shall remain in effect.
Okay. So in 2019, did we get permission to
That's what we're gonna do.
this specific lease for 5 years? Or to sign a
Or
lease?
you have the authority
To
to
sign
sign it.
leases for 5 years,
We'll look into that.
all right.
Okay.
All right, so that's gonna be on hold then, I'll leave that in the folder.
Okay.
And put that on the meeting agenda for next week.
Yes.
Next meeting?
Yep.
All right. You wanna talk about water capacity study or do town manager's report first?
Let's talk about water capacity.
Okay,
So we put that on there, to have a discussion with the board generally about potentially doing a water capacity study for the Campus World parcel to have a better understanding of what our capabilities are gonna be on that parcel moving forward. Right now, throughout town, more specifically, the South Peak area, we know that we hover right around that 1100 mark, that 1086, the 11, right around the 1100 mark, based on our Weston Sampson studies. When the new water tank goes in, that's gonna increase by about another 100 feet, getting us closer to the 1200 mark. We don't know what the capacity is going to be over at Campus World. We assume it will be relatively similar, but we don't know that for certain. That's just an assumption. So we had discussed potentially on having Weston and Sampson go out and kind of do a study on what the water capacity is in that area of Route 3 and what our kind of elevation kind of restriction would be on the Campus World property.
I think we wanna, in my opinion, we should do kind of 2 parts to that. One is, right now, today, what's the elevation limit that water can be delivered to, at the, required volume and pressure. But then part 2 is, if we were to install a tank on that site, what is the elevation range where that would be required? Especially in thinking about the Indian Head tank, which it's highly unlikely that we'll ever get permission to expand that. And that, maybe rather than expanding that, we put a new tank on Campus World that'll take care of Campus World And
And benefit the rest of
the
Route 3.
Indian Head, zone.
What, you put that burden on the developer.
We need to know right now, we need to know where the tank can be located. Okay, so that when we start looking at Campus World, you know, number one, how high up can they build right now? We're gonna be, hopefully in the next month, getting a development proposal. If they propose putting houses where we can't provide water and we sign off on it and say that's a great idea, we're screwing ourselves. Okay,
Are we obliged to provide water, or is the developer obliged to provide water?
I think we're obliged to know where we can provide water. I think the study and the developer, again, to what's been done verbally, is willing to set aside land at appropriate elevation for us to build a water tank. We don't know what that elevation is, and I don't want to guess, because if we miss, so I think it would be worth the town knowing what elevation can we build at now, and what elevation site do we need to set aside for a future tank? And again, if the developer is made to build that, fine. But where will we set aside land to do that? And do we set aside land to do that will feed the whole Indian Head zone?
But I mean, we made over in South Peak, we made the developer. Energy back in what, 2006, was supposed to build a tank in 2007. At his or her or their, own expense. I think it was what, 1.2 or 1.5,
Yeah,
something like that. I mean, now we know that's gone up to 6 million.
Yeah,
But I mean, the point is, I don't want the town to get stuck for a bill of, again, I don't know what the study might cost.
I'm thinking it would be I mean, it's gonna cost us a little bit amount of money, but I don't foresee it being I don't foresee it being $10,000. I foresee it being in the,
a few thousand.
yeah, 2 to 5 max range, more of a desktop study, just so we have an understanding, a basic understanding of where can we build now and where we can put a tank if we need to. Because we do know that the Route 3 water is going to need improvements at some point in time, that the Indian Head tank is going to need, if that Campus World parcel gets developed, we're gonna need to make some improvements to our own system, whether they build their own tank or not. At some point, we're gonna need to do improvements to our own system.
Yeah, because at one point in time, correct me if I'm wrong, there were discussions and discovery of water sources on that site by previous people. Am I correct? Previous
I
developers.
believe there's 4 wells
Wells.
on that property.
Yeah, you walked it a couple of weeks ago.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's undetermined how much water. There's no records, we could have it tested, but I think that at this point, that's a waste of money, but there's no records that we were able to find that showed, how much water they produced or the quality of water they produced. So, that is a potential source, but even if they are, at least I've found 2 of the wells, and neither one of them are excessively high in elevation. So even if they produce water, it would have to be pumped uphill.
Booster pumps.
Yeah,
Yes.
in storage.
Storage for tank.
Which, and that would be on the developers.
Yeah.
That-
So I just want,
Yeah, we wanna,
Questions answered.
get it, yeah, we wanna make sure, I think it's money well spent for us to have a better understanding of the capacity of water in that area.
I think it would put us in a better negotiation position if we knew how much, what,
Yeah.
what it would take. The other thing is, I don't know what water lines are between the Forest Ridge tank currently feeds that section where Campus World is. And I don't know what water lines lead up to that. I believe there's a restriction somewhere in the interstate crossing area. But I don't know. So that's another thing. I mean, they may say, oh, we can feed, 1,000,000 gallons up there. But it's gonna be to a line that's too small to feed more than 10 houses, I mean, that's exaggerating,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
but,
no.
we need to know. We need to know what negotiating position we're in to deal with it.
And I think we could take the funds out of, CIP engineering. We have a substantial amount of money in CIP
In your
engineering,
engineering fund,
and I think it would be a perfect,
Yeah.
use of the funds.
hand in hand with this is sewer.
And I spoke to Ray Corbett today about
good.
that, and he's putting together a task order for us to update our sewer capacity study as well. To include all the new development. The last time the sewer capacity study was updated was 2021, I believe,
2019.
or maybe 2019,
Yeah,
so. Which would include all new development since 2019. Plus a hypothetical additional 400 units in campus to see where we would stand at.
Right, and it's all of the approved developments in 2019. So even though South Peak wasn't built, it includes
It includes-
1,018 units,
Yeah.
includes everything at Forest Ridge,
Yeah.
even the unbuilt
With
stuff.
the new hotel, the whole bit.
One of the hotels, I believe.
I
thought-
think the Hampton Inn was included.
I believe the Hampton Inn was included, but I don't think the Forest Ridge tank, the
Oh, I
Forest.
thought the Forest Ridge was. Like,
It actually might be, I don't know, we'll have to find out from Ray Corbett to definitively, but like Mansion Hill,
You're right, it was 521.
521, yep, so. Mansion Hill hadn't been approved yet. This, apartment building across the street. hadn't been
Fairfield Inn was what Cam Lish's original proposal was.
Was a Fairfield Inn.
Cause the three developments that are on here are Riverwalk, which wasn't completed,
Mhm.
Fairfield Inn and the Hampton Inn.
Okay, so both of those hotels are on.
So two of them are on, the Fairfield is still being built.
Mhm.
And then the whatever, residential development was, the Landing, the Rapids, Forest Ridge, Coolidge Falls, and South Peak.
Right,
those are the build outs for all of
those
those.
are the build outs, total build outs for all of those. So
Right.
really, the only thing that's new would be Mansion Hill.
And the hotel, one hotel.
Nope, because that hotel hasn't been approved yet, the third,
Oh, this one.
yeah, hasn't even gone.
That ain't
hasn't
even
even gone to the.
The planning board hasn't seen that yet.
Gotcha.
So Mansion Hill would be the biggest one.
Mansion Hill would be the biggest one, and some
Minor.
minor
single-
stuff, the new
Dinner
diner,
diner.
this building across the street, even
Yeah.
though that kind of made up for some of the. It
Water
was
that
already
was
a
there.
motel that was already there.
But yeah, there's not a lot of update to this.
Right.
But the Campus World part.
Yes, and so I told him the new, yeah, and a hypothetical kind of 400 unit, new development, I can't remember where that would put in.
Because I think that's important to know in negotiating and development.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm,
So we should be receiving that from Ray Corbett, a task order, asking for a quote together. for
Okay.
us, in the next few weeks.
All right, good, thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
All right, town manager's report.
Okay.
Start with the good news.
All right, we got some good and bad news on here. I'm gonna start where I'm starting, okay? Okay, so Nate met on site with Weston and Sampson and VOT, and D Police last week in regards to the Route 3 water main project. After much discussion and walking up and down that section of road for 4 hours, we have decided, or they have decided to return to the northbound side of the roadway. If you remember, last fall, when we began digging in the road, we ran into a lot of utilities that were underneath the roadway in the section of road that we were trying to put our water line in.
They weren't part.
And, right, and they weren't marked. And so at that point, we thought the path of least resistance was to go across the road and to do some directional boring across the road and then go up the south side of the roadway, essentially. New DOT regulations that were just came out within the last month now forbid any tree clearing from May to November, which essentially would halt this project completely if we were to go across the road and up the road. So, and this is due to our wonderful endangered bat population in the Northeast. So due to this, we have asked DOT and the representatives that were on site doing the walk with us, if we can move closer to the breakdown lane and at some points in the construction into the breakdown lane. Originally, they wanted us to stay out of their right of way. That was what was getting us into the utility lines. We've now asked if we can move into their right of way and construct this project within their right of way. The District 1 representative, that was on site at the time thinks it's a good idea. He thinks it's the best path for us to move this project forward, but he would have to take this to the District, the Concord office to get formal approval. So, Weston and Sampson, has put together a cover letter that kind of outlines our request to work within DOT's right of way because of the tree clearing and because of the utilities that we're running into and the issues. And I will sign it and we will submit that request to the Concord office to hopefully get approval from Concord to work within the right of way. So that's where we are now.
Okay, so construction isn't gonna start until DOT chief.
Signs.
Yes.
Is police, the police ready to go if they give them the word?
Yes and no. Police obviously has other projects
Right.
that they're now rearranging in their queue. They're thinking if we get the go ahead, they'll start late summer and they'll work until they get shut off.
We were hoping to get
I know, we were hoping to get some.
Indian property
Right.
before summertime.
But unfortunately, that doesn't look like it will be the case. But they can't hold up their work for us to get approval. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But like I said, we are gonna be pushing the Concord office to work with them.
Okay,
So that's Route 3 water main. I will give you an update hopefully at the next meeting with, hopefully an approval from DOT or at least knowing that that letter has been submitted and we're just kind of waiting for an answer. Moving forward, bike path temporary closure. So the bike path will be closed. It started today and it will be closed for at least until Wednesday. We're hoping to be done on Wednesday. For some much needed brush cutting and tree clearing and branch clearing on the bike path. We will have equipment along the path that will make it unsafe for pedestrian use. So we have put out signs on either end, notifying the public that there is being construction done, maintenance being done on the path and to find an ulterior route. But they made great progress today. So Nate said 2-3 days max. So we're hoping to be out of there.
It's gonna rain, so it's gonna walk in the rain.
We're hoping that, it works in our favor, the weather is working in our favor, but we did get a new piece of equipment with our highway block grant, this past spring. That makes the brush clearing and the, branch clearing much easier for our highway workers. It also makes the lagoon clearing much easier for our highway workers. Nate said last week they did all the brush clearing, around the lagoons. He said it usually takes them a week, took them a day.
Wow.
So, and we know that we've gotten some complaints about the bike path in the recent years about kind of the overgrowth kind of taking over the path. So, as much as it's, a pain to close it for a few days, we think it's gonna be, beneficial.
well, this is definitely the time of year.
It's the time of year.
I mean, that's not.
Slow time.
Get it done before Memorial Day.
It's not a deal at all.
And I remember last year they did some asphalt patching on.
They
it.
did. They did. So, like I said,
There's some washouts, if we remember correctly, potholes.
they're moving as fast as they can and we'll get that open as soon as we can. Okay, One Love Gazebo concert, I shouldn't say concert series, but, I just copied that from last year, but the One Love Gazebo. We received an updated site plan, for the new fencing around One Love. It's very basic, but I brought it here for your review. They plan to install a cedar split rail fence, and they're going to push it back from the gazebo to allow us to be able to mow behind the gazebo. If you remember, the old kind of pallet fence was right up against the gazebo and they had it kind of intertwined. They're proposing to push it back a few feet, so we can get a lawnmower behind there, we can get a weed whacker behind there, and we can actually maintain behind the gazebo. And they will kind of make a nice, like I said, a nice cedar split rail, fence to allow for landscaping between the two.
Noticed that they pulled out some big boulders up at the end there. Did you notice that?
I noticed they did a lot of work with the building, the deck, the awning, the,
Yeah,
yeah.
Have
they
you seen the boulders they pulled out over there?
They're trying to get some footings
For the footings for?
for the deck.
for the deck,
Oh, for
they
the
took out
deck.
the deck, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But the deck is going on same exact size, they're not increasing any seating capacity, they're just essentially replacing in kind. So, they are doing, I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, some interior renovations where they're relocating a staircase for the servers and the wait staff and whatnot, but they're not increasing seating capacity, they're just essentially maintaining what they have. So I told them that this to us would probably be fine, you know, I mean, anything I think is anything more aesthetically pleasing in that area and also allowing for some maintenance behind the gazebo, because I know we kind of ran into weed whacking and mowing issues. I think it's beneficial for that.
I think aesthetically it looks better than the.
the crates, yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
pallets.
the pallet. And, you know, it was a good idea using
Yeah,
pallets. but-
Job for them, but I think having a nice actual fence with landscaping.
Split rail with landscaping.
Now, do they have to install a second, barrier fence for their liquor license?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think you can use a split, no,
I don't.
Yeah, I checked into it, the split rail is okay.
The split rail is okay. I think as long as they have like a no alcohol behind this point, and he did say he would have like a gate that would delineate from the fencing where the pathway goes into that kind of their covered area. I think that's all they need. I think sometimes with outdoor events, like I know Loon sometimes has to have that barrier, so you
Right.
can't hand someone
right,
a drink in the non, alcohol area, but, again, they would have to follow all their liquor license rules with the state as far as that goes, but I don't believe so, if John says we do it, so.
We didn't receive any complaints last year.
No,
So
no,
and I don't think, did they have two with the pallets?
no, but the pallets would be much more of a barrier.
Right.
Than split rail, I mean, you can climb over, under, or through a split rail fence.
Sure, right.
You, I guess technically could vault over the pallets, but I mean, it's pretty much a barrier.
Sure.
I just didn't know.
I don't know.
Split rail fence,
Yeah, I talked to somebody in the liquor commission just questioning that.
and they said it
They
was
said
fine.
it was okay.
Okay, I'm,
thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
thank you, yeah.
Awesome. We already talked about the snowmobile club lease. Do we want to talk about the Chenard arbitration order? So we, went through arbitration on May 6th in regards to the Chenard trial and lawsuit, and the settlement agreement, and the arbitration order is as follows, that by October 31st, 2025, there are 3 items on the west side of Route 3, the electrical box and pole, the conveyor, and the metal roofing materials will be disposed of in a manner that was agreed upon during the settlement agreement or during the arbitration.
Right.
By August 15th, 2025, any fencing that Chenard chooses to install to shield items from view shall be installed, and any items on the Exhibit A designated for the agreed upon disposition which he elects to keep on his property shall be stored out of public view behind said fence. And then also by August 15th, 2025, whether or not the fencing option has been chosen, all items on Exhibit A designated for agreed disposition shall not behind the fencing and shielded from the public view shall be removed from the property. And then a maximum of 1 unregistered motor vehicle may be stored on the property east of Route 3 and another on the property west of Route 3.
What type of vehicles were we talking about with the unregistered?
I think currently I think there's 1 truck.
There's a truck and there was a car,
Subaru, right there.
Subaru,
Yeah, I believe.
on, so we're talking about, motor
Motor
vehicle,
Motor vehicles, yeah.
that's not,
Tractor.
not a tractor, not a lull, not a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Motor vehicles.
A motor vehicle, 1 on either side of the road. one on the west side and one on the east side.
Great job, team.
And what was specifically excluded from arbitration was the three trailers, that sit right out on Route 3, and then one other trailer that sits back further that you really can't see from
No,
from the roadway unless you.
Except when the.
And those are excluded from arbitration because the,
Planning board gave.
requirement was to go through planning board and get permission to
Move them to. one
keep
side.
them, move them, remove them, whatever the planning board decided. The planning board's decision, and it was a mutual decision with Joe, he agreed, was to take the three trailers from where they are now in the visible location and move them to where the fourth trailer is and put all four of them on a single lot back behind those trees where they're virtually invisible.
Was that by July 1st?
That was it July 1st? Yes,
yes,
yes.
so. I think overall, even during the arbitration process, it seemed as if it was a cooperative and kind of collaborative effort on both party sides to kind of resolve this matter.
Technically, the arbitrator did not decide, which was the main reason for him coming,
Right.
but he ended up not deciding on any specific item, whether it should stay or go. Because,
It was mutually
they're
agreed upon.
mutually agreed upon between the parties that it can stay, that it can go, or that
That
it
was
has.
List that we discussed and some
That's, yeah,
modified.
55
Item,
item, well, 55 lines on an Excel spreadsheet. Some of them had multiple items.
Yeah.
But they were all agreed upon, including that first provision about those three specific things, the electric box. Those either, he was gonna use those, and we said, if you use it by October 31st and they're on a building or erected or whatever, that's fine, or they're being removed. So by October 31st, they will either be moved and put in use or moved and discarded. And that was agreeable to both parties.
similar to the unregistered motor vehicle, that was both agreeable to both parties as
Yep.
well.
Yeah.
So I think overall it was successful.
I would say so.
Yeah.
Long time coming, and we'll see how it goes. We still have deadlines to meet, but.
All right, moving forward. So we received, last week, we received our final total equalized valuation from VRA. In comparison to 2023, the town's valuation increased just under $63 million. More importantly, this figure represents a $772 million and change $1 million increase from the values at which we are currently assessing properties. So what this means is that when we go through our reval in 2026, next year, we should expect to have at least a close to $772 million increase
That is
to our
crazy.
total assessed value. It's crazy.
And
It's
that's-
essentially our assessed value as a town total is almost double. Because right now we're assessed at 1.2,
million.
and they're saying
Right.
now that
Yeah.
we are at, just over 2,092,000,000. So it's gonna be a huge jump
Right.
in assessed value. But we're also, they're saying we're assessing properties at, over 60%, 63%. So crazy,
And historically, that number of 62% is crazy.
crazy low, right?
But
In
in
today's
this,
time.
in today's times, we're not the only one in that position.
Oh, absolutely not.
Tons of towns are in, because you only update it typically every 5 years.
Right, and usually you hover within that, it's like, they don't want you to go higher than 110-ish, 105, 110, and they don't want you to dip below like 85. So like, but we were in the 80s after year one
One.
of the rebound. So in today's, I think that market has slowed down. I think our values right now are, once they come up, I think we'll still be under what properties are selling for, just because it's the nature of kind of the beast in the community we live in. But I think they're starting to stabilize, where we're not seeing properties sell for hundreds and thousands of dollars over asking value at this point. You see the inspections coming back, you see more of that happening.
Well, I mean, that article that Sean found, you know, we've said since 2016, 141% increase in value. I mean, and you know, you start talking to people about that. And, you know, where are my kids gonna live? I said, you know, I said, people are buying them up and they're not living in it. They're secondary homes. So I said, Airbnbs, we've got 400 plus registered, 400, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Nearly 10%.
It's good on one hand for somebody that wants to sell. It's tough for somebody that's gonna try to raise a
Well,
family.
that's also why Campers World is so important,
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
so. Okay, touching up on a discussion we had on May 5th about the bridge inspections. Tammy had mentioned about what do we do about the bridges in town. I spoke to Nate about it, and he says DOT inspects all the bridges in town and then sends Nate an inspection report with recommended maintenance items.
Is that an annual?
That's an
Okay.
annual thing. So we are constantly, once a year, DOT is going out and making recommendations for the Loon Bridge, making recommendations for the bridge on Hampton Farm Road, or right? Georgiana Falls, but, so we are annually paying attention to them and making maintenance on them. I just told Nate, next time, if it was a big maintenance item, make sure we use that bridge money. So we don't have to pull it from the operating fund. Sewer lagoon dam reclassification. So, NH DES and went out probably about a month ago now and did some inspections on the dam. And our sewer lagoon dam has been reclassified from a significant hazard structure to a low hazard structure. This is due to revisions in the dam rules and also our recent site visit. Our annual dam registration will be reduced from $750 to $400 a year, and inspections will go from every 4 years to every 6. So a little reprieve for us in the end when it comes to our sewer lagoon dam, but I figured, you know, it was a worthwhile to talk about.
The win.
It's a small win. We'll take small wins where we can get them. And then the last thing that's on my town manager's report, but I do have one thing after going is, we received our renewal notice for 2025 to 2026 for health trust, which is our health insurance provider. And our plan will increase by 14%. And let me preface this by saying it will increase from 6.7% to 14%. We offer 2 different plans for the employees, but almost 99.9% of our employees take one of the plans, and that plan is increasing by the 14%. So I just put the 14% right there. As you remember, we moved to a deductible plan last year to allow for spouses and dependents on the plan while keeping costs manageable for the town. I would like to continue this plan for at least 1 more year, with the understanding that next year we may need to look into other providers if the cost continues to increase at the rate that it has. I hate to make changes back to back year after year. I think it causes discontent among the ranks, among the employees. I would like to stay on it for at least another year. But like I said, with the understanding and letting all the employees know that if we continue to see increases like this, and we're not alone, I mean, this is nationwide, this is.
It's in every phase of insurance,
It's
from
every-
car insurance to house insurance, everybody, and there's no losses, it's just the industry. I mean, a lot of them, like the house insurance, I'm blaming it on, you know, natural disasters, the fires out west, the fires, you know, and yeah, Hawaii, or what have you, so. Anyway,
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not alone.
we're suffering.
We're suffering, but I would like to stay with Health Trust for another year and not change the plans all over again this year, and then we'll revisit it next year when we get renewal rates next year.
I think that's a good strategy.
Thank you. And then the last thing I have, and it's not on the town manager's report, because I just got notification this morning. Is that unfortunately, we were not selected for the Brownsfield grant this round. They had 200, they had 476 applicants. And they could only award 214 grants. They encouraged us to apply again in the fiscal year 2026 for this fall. So they wrote that in the letter. I think that's somewhat reassuring that they're encouraging us to apply again. They are offering a debriefing on the application to let us know where our weak spots were on the application. When I spoke to Ray Forward today and also Dick Lewis, who helped us put the application together, they are both willing to sit in on the debriefing that I'm gonna schedule with our representative from our district representative from the EPA to find out where we fell short, where we're, where did we lose points? I think that's only gonna make our next application round stronger. So we are setting that up and scheduling that within the next 15 days, because we have to do so in 15 days, and they both are on board to do so, but it's a bummer, but we knew that this grant was highly competitive, and we'll try again. We'll go through the motions and do it again this year. So.
It's discouraging, but I believe it was Dick Lewis that said, he was presenting this, that typically the EPA in this Brownsfield process doesn't do the whole mitigation engineering, pay for that, and then not fund the actual cleanup. They pay to for us to figure out what needs to be done. It shows that they're interested in getting it cleaned up.
Right.
And he said that if you don't make the first one, typically you'll make the second and third one.
So, like I said, we'll keep trying, and we'll sit in on the debriefing to figure out where our weak spots were in the application, and then we'll revise and we'll resubmit for the fall this year.
Would you do a write-up on that, the debriefing?
Sure.
Just see it where they go.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I can do that. So, it's a bummer, but we'll.
Is that an in-person meeting with the EPA district? Or
Yeah, I
Zoom
would be,
or-
yeah, if you, once we get it scheduled, if anyone wants to join us, I'll send a link out, figure it out.
Send the link out.
Okay.
and see.
And I think that's enough. For the I have on my town manager's report today. Do you want to talk about that right in front of you?
I got 5 things I want to talk
Oh,
about.
geez, okay,
Most of them are quick and easy.
okay.
From last week's meeting, last meeting we had, we commented on that there was the planning board was looking for alternate members. We've had one person come forward, submit a letter of interest, met with the planning board and was sworn in last week, Friday.
Yep.
So we have Margarita Dufresne is now an alternate on the planning board. And I believe we have someone else who
We
Is
received a letter,
interest-
we received an email, a letter of interest from another,
okay,
resident as well.
okay, I was told that was coming
Yes.
by that person, but I didn't know we got it yet.
Yes.
So anyway, that's
Great,
moving forward. You signed the contract for the Plymouth event system?
I did sign the contract with the final system. Yeah.
Okay,
So
That's-
that's on order,
okay,
and we are hopefully we'll get that project started this summer.
super. We also talked about there was a cleanup day at skateboard park. We talked about that at the last meeting. That was Friday evening and Saturday morning and
I was
the
there.
rain. Oh, were you there Friday night?
Friday night.
I was there Saturday.
Okay.
And the
good.
rain held out on Saturday.
Friday night,
Just the one we have.
and the lightning started coming down, and I put the rakes out of my hand, I said to the kids, "Oh, why'd you put the rakes down?" "Oh, no, we're taking off our shirts," and God bless them. But it was great,
Looks
because
great, yeah.
Friday night was the 9th grade class project. And
Right.
They had about 20 of the kids there. Jasmine was one of the advisors.
Yeah,
The school nurse, Courtney.
yes,
she was there and, those, the kids were
Donati.
kids were really into it. They were doing a great job with collecting. So, I couldn't be, I was at BRS on Saturdays.
Okay. Anyway, they got a lot of work done.
They did.
It looks great. There was a lot of, besides the volunteer workers, there was a lot of volunteer donations, like loam and the whole structure. Kyle Whedon kind of spearheaded for the skateboard storage was donated,
Oh, yeah,
I think mostly by Kyle.
Yeah. I was working on it. Friday.
So anyway, that was a great.
Yes,
great
great
day.
community project.
We got an offer on another lot in the business park. I don't know if you knew that.
I knew one was coming. What would be,
So we got it, and this came today? Okay, so this is from John,
McNamara.
oh, okay, yeah, Kevin called me.
okay, John Tierney.
Yeah.
From Lincoln. Has offered $65,000 for lot number 8. In the business park,
Yeah.
which is right next to the one that we
Just so.
just sold. Transfer title on or before June 20th. I guess that would leave time for the hearings.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't get a chance to connect with Kevin today, but I'll send kind of the standard email where we'll outline when the public hearings will be. I'll get a little bit more information as to what his intent is on the property. And then we'll get that for the planning board's next agenda. We can probably get it for the agenda in May, I would think, just
Next week.
next week.
Are you gonna be there the 28th at the planning board hearing?
I don't know. I think it would be time to get it at least for discussion,
We have to notice that in the paper,
not the planning board,
not the planning board.
not the
just
planning board,
ours.
just the select board. sorry.
Okay, and we do the planning board first.
You get
That's right, it's just the planning board input that we have to hold a hearing.
Correct.
Okay. So, yeah, we could get that on the agenda for next week.
Yes, I'll make that request to Carol tomorrow morning.
And then let's notice ours for our next,
We'll probably do it for the first meeting in June at this
Yeah.
point, which would be, June 2nd and then June 16th.
okay. And if we do it on June 16th, we should be able to do the 20th. Okay, so that fits into our hearing schedule. And he has language in here. I don't know if you gave us.
Well, no,
language.
technically, we would have to push it to the following week, because you can't sell a property, until 7 days after the second public hearing. So we would have to be the week of June 23rd, but I can explain that,
Okay.
we can make revisions, because we also include language about the public hearing, and if there's anything that makes changes during the public hearing, that we can then withdraw from the sale. So we gotta add some of that stuff in, but like I said, I'll connect with Kevin tomorrow.
He has that wording in here.
Oh,
I'm
he
not
does?
sure, yeah, other than the date, I think that it's sufficient, but
Okay,
anyway, we got a offer. We need to find out what his use is and get him before, or get the topic, he doesn't know, for the planning board.
Yeah.
But it'd be helpful when it goes to the planning board to know
what the intent
purpose.
is, yeah.
What are the 3 lots left?
If after this one hypothetically, after this one sells, we'll have 2.
2, yeah, so there's 3 coming.
And I've also heard that another one is forthcoming, so
Intended use.
it would be great if we could only have one property left this year.
Do you want this in your thing, or you wanna leave this in the selectmen's folder for next week?
Give it to me, because I'm gonna need to sort of remind me.
Planning board. Planning board gets it first anyway.
Yes.
Or a copy of it.
Didn't see that, didn't we? Oh, you're right, additional provisions.
Yeah,
Okay, I was looking for an addendum.
all right, and then I just wanted to follow up. It's probably too soon, but that 26 Maple Street tax deed. She was gonna investigate the liens on that.
You gave her 60 days.
Okay, I mean, I know, but we
Yeah.
gave it till July 8th.
Yeah.
I guess it was.
Yeah.
So I just didn't know if there's anything on that.
No, I haven't read anything.
All right, that was all I had. Anything?
Yeah, I had another lot in the industrial park. The blinking light out here, is that gonna come down?
Yes.
Okay, it is, and that's.
DOT.
DOT is taking it down. they don't feel that it's needed with that building there.
Yeah.
Okay, we've heard, I'm sure you've heard, some people feel that's a blind corner now, it's gonna be it's a dangerous corner, so, I don't know who makes that decision, but whatever, I'm just saying, that's what I've heard from a couple of people. Have you driven, Sean, over to Price Chopper recently? Yeah,
Yep.
and did your car go into any holes that are
In
2
the
feet
back?
deep over there?
Oh, yeah, many.
Yeah. Who's responsible for that?
That's Riverwalk owns that.
Dennis? I suggest before somebody gets hurt there, because I saw 2 cars, I was at the post office, they were coming out, and one guy trying to avoid cutting out this way, and a car was coming out of Riverwalk, so I'm
I
afraid.
believe he has plans to repave that, and we have discussed that in the past, and I believe he said he was waiting for construction on phase 2 to be completely done, and then he was going to repave that whole site.
Okay,
I think he has plans to make it more aesthetically pleasing as well, different signage and whatnot.
yeah, all right. Because he is coming before to talk about the floodplain issue.
At some point, yes, I haven't received any follow-up from him on
Okay.
that, but yes, at some point, and I believe he'll be into the planning board at some point in regards to the gondola as well, but yes, but like I said, I know we've discussed the road issues in the past, and he had said.
Oh,
he
it's
plans to-
brutal. Have you gone over? You've gone.
Yeah,
It is
It's
brutal.
bad.
The Price Chopper side, which was owned, is owned separately.
Right,
They had the crew come in and do all of those, because right in, turning in by Citizens Bank, there was a big
They patched it,
divot, they patched all that stuff down that side.
Yeah.
But the,
the Riverwalk, yeah.
yeah,
they were putting sand in there.
yeah, and that didn't last at
I was
all.
gonna say, not with this rain.
Yeah, that didn't at all. But,
Maybe 2 days later, it was all out.
yeah,
Whatever.
the other, just while we're talking about that though, if you're gonna talk to him, get an update of what, something's gonna be done there. The signs out at the end make it very difficult to see left as you're pulling out.
I do believe he has plans to revisit those signs as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the big huge sign is pretty permanent. But anything out, beyond that, closer to the road than that, or shrubs that are close to the road, really, prohibit line of sight traffic.
That's all. I had a quick question to you. Did you see the boulders that pulling up off of Reddo's lot up there?
Yes,
Unbelievable.
yeah, it's,
I
that's a very wet lot as well.
can't
Just so much
believe,
water in the mountain over there.
oh, it's unreal.
Yeah, they're actually gonna be bringing a hammer
Yeah,
to bust up a
he,
few of
he
those.
said he couldn't move them. I
Yeah.
talked with Taylor the other
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
He
it's
said
pretty
he couldn't
big.
move.
But it seems like rock doesn't mean anything anymore.
No, no,
If you take a look at Cedar Circle, Fireside,
yeah, the ledge and everything over there.
Cedar Circle is crazy how much rock they took out of there.
but yeah, down below.
Yeah.
It's insane.
They're crushing things on site.
Well,
Living alone.
I was over there with you and they just started digging and they weren't removing rock, they were kind of digging around it.
moving rock, yeah.
And now with all of that gone, it's just, I mean, it's ledge,
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't
I mean, you look at some of the houses over there that are being cut into the ledge.
the ledge.
It's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy.
Sean, do you know roughly, what percentage of the 1,018 units he's completed? Or got foundations in?
It's
Oh,
not very many, I think we're using the 300.
300.
300.
400?
Maybe 30%.
And that includes all the old stuff that's been around.
That's what I'm
for the last
talking about.
decade, You know, yeah.
I
I think we received recent updated numbers and it was in the 300 range, the 300.
That's all, I thought it was more.
Oh, no.
It was more like 500, maybe closer. to
No, they're not even halfway.
Wow, long way to go.
Long way to go. Before we go too much further though, we should have the tax levy done within, I'm thinking by Wednesday afternoon, or either of you available to stop in maybe Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning, so we
Just
should,
sign it.
just to sign the levy.
Oh, just text me on my cell.
Let us know.
Okay.
I'll Wednesday, I'm down at Owl's Nest with the Neds.
Okay.
Stopping on the way back.
If we can get it done tomorrow, I'll text you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's
Do that, because Thursday I'm out of town. I
okay.
can do it tomorrow, I can do it Wednesday. If it has to be Thursday, it's gonna have to be,
It will most
4
likely, well, I was just
5
giving you
o'clock.
Thursday, it will most likely be done Wednesday.
okay,
But we might be able to get it done late tomorrow.
I'm golfing Thursday, so I'll stop at the golf.
Okay. We just wanna get those tax bills out.
oh, yeah.
If it don't, if it don't rain,
Yeah, I'll let you know as soon as
Yeah.
it's ready.
alrighty.
Okay.
All right, I didn't have anything else.
That was it for me, thank you.
Public, anything from the public? Mike, John?
I don't have anything. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. All right, and we don't have any, I don't have anything for non-public, do you?
No, unless you wanna talk about.
Oh,
Yeah,
these,
I
right,
think that,
Yeah,
and we
real
have,
estate,
didn't we get a bill too that you want to talk about?
a real estate proposal,
a real estate proposal,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is. D.
91A.
91A.
D.
Let me find that. E.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public to review a real estate proposal question, transaction.
Thank you, Sean.
Sean,
Good night, guys.
thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, John. See you tomorrow.
You want the door shut?
Yes, please.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
Before you go, do you have a voicemail set up?
No.
Oh, okay, because the other day I called and it says no voicemail has been set up on this phone.
Yeah.
And I said, that son of a gun.
We're still being recorded, hold on.
Good night, Sean, thank you.
Yeah.